Some Bremerton and Kitsap County neighborhoods that were absolutely flying off the shelves just a couple of years ago are now seeing demand soften in ways that I haven't seen for a really long time. I've been tracking the local market data very closely, and what I'm seeing in certain areas is honestly pretty surprising. We're talking about areas where days on market has doubled in some cases, where homes are sitting without offers, and where sales have dropped nearly 20% year over year, according to the Northwest MLS. Hi, I'm Cassandra Lopez. I've been living and working and buying and selling real estate in Kitsap County for the past 26 years, and I've helped hundreds of families navigate market conditions just like these. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the 5 neighborhoods where buyer demand is cooling the fastest right now. And then I'm going to show you 3 other areas where buyer demand is holding strong. And then at the end, I'm going to break down what all this means to you, whether you are buying or selling. So let me give you some context before we get into the list. The Kitsap County market ran incredibly hot from like 2020 to like mid 2022. Buyers were waiving inspections, offering well over list price, and competing hard for anything that hit the market. Kitsap County had some of the lowest months of inventory that was seen anywhere in the entire state. We were down to about 120 units countywide, and that's including new construction that couldn't keep up. But what I'm seeing now is different. The numbers are back up. According to the Northwest MLS, in May of 2026, we're at about 3.4 months of inventory. Anything under 6 months is supposed to be a seller's market, but the buyers definitely have control of the market right now because interest rates are high and demand is low. But looking past that headline number, and the picture gets more complicated. Active listings across the entire Northwest MLS are up 28.4% year over year. New listings are coming on faster than buyers can absorb them. And I can attest to that as Kitsap County has increased inventory about 50% in the past 6 weeks. Sellers are still deciding to list despite market conditions, but buyers are still kind of sitting on the sidelines. So what's driving this split? A few things are happening at the same time. Interest rates came back up to mid-6s when they dropped just below 6% back in February. And that swing back up knocked a meaningful percentage of buyers right back out of the market. We had several waves of new construction hit Kitsap County, as has been happening over the past several years. And remote work demand, which is actually a large part of what fueled the buyer frenzy back in 2020, 2021, has softened as remote workers are returning back to the office. Now, here's something important I want you to understand before we get into this list. I am not telling you these areas are bad places to live. I am showing you what the data says where the demand is softening relative to where it was. That distinction matters if you're buying or selling. The trade-offs look very different depending on what side of the transaction you're on. And I'm also going to show you the areas where demand is not softening, because half the picture is never enough. You need the full story. Cooling area number 5, let's start with Silverdale. To be clear, Silverdale is not sitting dead in the water, but there are real signals here worth paying attention to. The most visible sign to what's happening is the days on market. Movado shows that homes in Silverdale are currently at about 39 days on market, compared to an average of 29 days the same time last year. That's a 34% increase. The average home value in Silverdale at about $565, down 4.1% from this time last year. Why is this all happening? The main pressure is new construction. Silverdale has seen a steady stream of new builds come through, and when builders are competing with each other, plus resale inventory, something has got to give. Builders will drop incentives, offer closing cost assistance, offer upgrades or appliance packages, all signals that they need to move units. And when you see that from builders, it's a signal that organic demand is not keeping up with supply. For buyers, this is genuinely good news. You have more time, you have more options, and you have a negotiating position that simply did not exist in 2020 or 21. If you want a new construction home in Silverdale, ask the building what they're willing to offer you. The answers might surprise you. For home sellers, this means that you need to be precise on price. Overpriced homes in Silverdale are just sitting. Well-priced homes are still moving, but the 2021 strategy of list high and expect multiple offers is gone. Silverdale still has strong employment, good services, and solid infrastructure. This is a temporary adjustment more than a long-term structural problem, but it just means the pace has changed and the data is clear. Cooling area number 4 is Poulsbo. I want to be careful how I frame this because Poulsbo is a community with a lot of genuine appeal and a strong long-term community. But the data right now shows one of the most significant pace changes in the county. Per Redfin, homes in Poulsbo are sitting on an average of 56 days on market compared to just 22 this time last year. That's a 155% increase for days on market. The median sales price was down 5.6% year over year at $637,000. And when you look at inventory, data sourced from the Northwest MLS shows Poulsbo's 4-bedroom inventory was up 21.9% month over month, and 5-bedroom inventory was up 37.5% month over month as of May of 2025. That is builder supply faster than buyer absorption. Why is Poulsbo cooling? Poulsbo sits at a higher price point than much of Kitsap County, and higher priced homes are the most sensitive to interest rate increases. When rates stay elevated, the pool of buyers who can qualify for that $650 plus price point shrinks faster than if rates were down lower. That buyer pool would be higher, of course. In Poulsbo, we also saw a lot of homebuyers waiving contingencies, waiving financing, offering over list price in 2020 and 21, and that wave has passed, and the replacement demand has not arrived at the same pace. For buyers, Poulsbo is an interesting market right now. You have leverage you simply did not have just a few years ago. More selection, time to negotiate, time to decide, inspections, all that stuff. And sellers who are willing to offer compensation for the state of the market. For sellers, home pricing and precision really matters. And that's what's going to separate the homes that sell from the homes that sit. Cooling area number 3 is West Bremerton. And this one matters because West Bremerton was once the core Bremerton real estate market. This is not a fringe area. This is downtown adjacent, walkable to the shipyard, walkable to the ferry. And yet the data shows that prices are pulling back. West Bremerton's median sales home price sits at around $410, down 2.9% year over year. That might not sound dramatic on its own, but remember the overall Kitsap County market was up 7.8% year over year as of November of 2025. West Bremerton appears to be moving in the opposite direction of countywide trends, and that's a story worth paying attention to. What I'm seeing on the ground here is the inventory profile has shifted. West Bremerton has a higher concentration of older housing stock, and buyers are doing more due diligence now in this market than they were when the market was at its peak. Things like knob and tube wiring, older roofing, older siding, foundation issues. Buyers are not waiving these inspections anymore. This adds time and uncertainty to transactions. The opportunity here for buyers, though, is real. If you can do the due diligence properly, West Bremerton at $410 is a different conversation than it was at its peak. The ferry access, the waterfront proximity, the downtown access, those fundamentals have not changed. What has changed is the competition for those same homes. For sellers, pricing correctly for the current market and investing in presentation and list prep is what's going to be what moves your home. Buyers who are shopping in this location and price range are paying close attention. Now we're going to keep going through this list, but I want to pause here for a second. If you're thinking about moving to Bremerton or Kitsap County, I put together this free relocation guide just for you, and it covers the neighborhoods, the commutes, and the trade-offs that most people don't find out until after they move here. It's specifically designed for people like you, experienced buyers who want neighborhood by neighborhood clarity before committing to one of the biggest decisions of your life. You can download it for free in the description below. And now on to the next neighborhood. Cooling area number 2 is Bainbridge Island. And this one's going to be the most data-heavy entry on the cooling list because the numbers here are significant. The median sales price for homes on Bainbridge Island has decreased 21.7% compared to the same month last year. That's crazy. The median sales price went from $1.34 million down to $1.049 million. That's a meaningful price move at the top of the Kitsap County market. Now, Bainbridge Island is interesting because it has different market dynamics than the rest of the county. A relatively small number of transactions per month means that individual sales, especially at the luxury waterfront end, can move that median price significantly in one direction or another. The Zillow Home Value Index, which smooths out those monthly swings, puts a typical Bainbridge home value at about 1.16, down 9% from last year. That's a more measured read on a broader trend. But here's what's real and here's what you need to know. Bainbridge Island's roughly 3 months of inventory as of April 2026 is the highest it's been in a really long time. Homes are selling under list price at about 97% of list price, which doesn't sound terrible, but represents a shift from that 100% sales price and higher that we saw at the peak. So why is Bainbridge cooling? The luxury market is going to be pretty sensitive to interest rate changes with jumbo loans and high loan balances. The pool of buyers that can absorb a high payment like that is smaller than it was in 2021. The ferry commute to Seattle, which is central to why so many buyers have moved there in the first place, has become more complicated as remote work policies tighten and people have to head back to work. Buyers who need to be in the office more regularly are now reevaluating if that ferry commute was such a good idea in the first place. For buyers at the top of the Kitsap County price range, right now, Bainbridge is offering something unusual. Inventory, time to look, and sellers who may be more motivated than they were and willing to adjust their expectations. Waterfront properties in particular are taking a long time to sell, which gives you a real opportunity to do your due diligence on the waterfront bulkheads, the shoreline permits, and shoreline setback compliance issues. For sellers on Bainbridge, the market is still transacting, but the strategies that worked in 2021 will not work in 2026. Precise pricing, exceptional presentation, and patience is what the marketing is requiring right now. And here we are, number one, the area that I think is going to surprise most of the people of the ones on this list. And I'm talking about the North Kitsap new construction corridor. The stretch of planned communities, new subdivisions, and builder developments running north of Silverdale towards Port Gamble Road. This area was the story of Kitsap real estate from 2020 to 2022. New construction was moving faster than builders could complete it. Buyers were putting down deposits on homes that had not even broken ground yet. Every new community that went up was absorbed almost immediately. That environment is gone. What I'm seeing now in North Kitsap new construction, the clearest signal that demand is softening, which is builder incentives. When builders start offering structural upgrades, closing cost incentives, rate buydowns, which is exactly what we're seeing in this market, that is not a marketing strategy. That is a signal that builders need to move their inventory and they need to pull every lever they can in order to do so. And this ties in directly with Northwest MLS data countywide. Active listings in the Northwest MLS were up 23.9% year over year in March of 2026, but closed sales dropped 20.1%. New construction was absorbing disproportionate amounts of buyer demand, and now that pool is thin, new builds and resales alike are just sitting. Here's the trade-off for buyers. New construction in North Kitsap or anywhere in Kitsap County means modern systems, energy efficiency, builder warranties, and no deferred maintenance. Those are real advantages, but if you're buying in North Kitsap, you're also buying farthest away from Bremerton's employment base at PSNS and Naval Base Kitsap Bremerton, the ferry terminals, and established commercial areas. You need to be honest with yourself about what that commute looks like on a Tuesday morning in February. And for sellers who bought in this new construction corridor in 2020 through 22 during the peak, especially if you're looking to sell now, the competition is direct. You are not only competing with resales, but you're competing with other new construction homes that may still be in your neighborhood in a later phase, who can offer buy-down incentives and concessions. That's a difficult position to be in. So that's the cooling side of the story. Now let me share with you where demand is actually holding and picking up in some cases. Because here's where the opportunity gets interesting. East Bremerton is number one on the growing list. And the data here is the clearest counter story to everything I just told you about. Per Redfin's data, East Bremerton median sales price came up to $456,000, up 2.5% year over year. And homes in East Bremerton are selling in about 18 days. For context on what that means, while Bainbridge Island is sitting at 28 days and Poulsbo is sitting at 56 days, East Bremerton homes are moving fast. Why is East Bremerton holding its ground? A few reasons. The price point is accessible. It's significantly below the county median, which means there's a larger buyer pool of potential buyers who can qualify and afford that monthly payment. East Bremerton has good proximity to PSNS and Naval Base Kitsap Bremerton, which creates a durable base of military buyers and government workers who might be largely rate insensitive because they're using their VA loan, which offers the best rates, but also their PCS timing has nothing to do with interest rate timing. And the ferry access to Seattle. While not as direct as downtown Bremerton, it's manageable from the East Bremerton neighborhoods. I've said it on this channel before, and I'll say it again. The neighborhoods closest to steady employment tend to hold their values the best, even when the broader market softens. East Bremerton is a solid example of that right now. East Bremerton, at the current price point and with an 18-day home sales cycle, is not a slow market. You need to come prepared. But the desperation of the 2020-2021 market is not here either. It's a more rational, efficient market. Growing area number 2 is Central Kitsap, specifically Tracyton area, and the CK neighborhoods that run between Bremerton and Silverdale. Redfin data shows that CK neighborhoods median sales price at $501,000 last month, with homes selling in about 7 days on average. 7 days on market is not a cooling market. That's a competitive one. And Redfin shows that it scores as the most competitive market type in the system. Tracyton specifically is one I know well because it's where I live. The pricing data here can swing more significantly month to month because it is a smaller community with fewer sales, but the structural appeal is consistent. You get Dyes Inlet, water access, quick reach to Silverdale services and employment, and the Central Kitsap School District. New subdivisions continue to be absorbed here, and the existing resale stock tends to turn over predictably as well. Why is Central Kitsap holding? The combination of price point, employment opportunities, specifically the location right in between Naval Base Kitsap, Bremerton, and Bangor, and practical access to Silverdale's commercial and healthcare infrastructure creates a base of consistent demand that does not evaporate when rates go up. The neighborhood by neighborhood clarity matters here more than most markets. Not every CK street has the same story, but the data here is genuinely positive compared to what's happening in other areas of the county. Growing area number 3 is Indianola, and this one might surprise people because Indianola is a smaller, lower volume, lower turnover community that doesn't always show up in the headline reports. Redfin shows Indianola's median sales price up 9.3% year over year as of February 2026, with homes selling an average of 8 days on market, scoring an 85 out of 100 on Redfin's competitive scale. For a smaller waterfront community on the North Kitsap Peninsula, those numbers tell a very clear story. Why is the Indianola market growing where the greater North Kitsap market is slowing? Because Indianola offers a very different product and lifestyle. It's an established, lower density waterfront community with pristine water views, beaches, and a community dock, but sits at a price point that's significantly below what you might pay just across the water at on Bainbridge Island. That price point gap is attracting buyers who want that Pacific Northwest lifestyle without the Bainbridge Island price tag. And the limited land supply means you can't just go and build a new home in Indianola. There's a practical consideration here too. Indianola properties often come with flood zone considerations. Redfin's First Street data notes that 6% of properties in Indianola will face significant flood risk over the next 30 years. So if you're buying in Indianola, flood insurance review should be part of your standard due diligence. This is not a reason to avoid the area, just a reason to just do your homework a little bit more thoroughly. For homebuyers, Indianola is one of the more interesting spots in Kitsap County right now. The 8-day selling timeline means you need to be ready to move when a home pops up, and the price appreciation is working in your favor as a long-term hold. So now you have the full picture. where buyer demand is softening, where buyer demand is increasing. Let me tell you exactly what this means for you, depending on what side of the transaction you're on. If you're a buyer here in Kitsap County in 2026, you are in the best negotiating position this market has been able to offer since before 2020, but only in the right zip codes. Cooling areas like Poulsbo, West Bremerton, and North Kitsap new construction, you have time, you have options, and you'll be working with sellers who are no longer in a position to ignore legitimate contingencies. Do not skip the inspection. No need to waive your due diligence. The market is giving you back the tools you need to protect yourself that buyers lost during the peak. Use them. In growing areas like East Bremerton, Central Kitsap, and Indianola, the dynamic is different. 8 to 18 days on market means you need to be ready to act quickly, be ready with your pre-approval in hand, have your agent who knows the area and have a criteria for your ideal home, and be ready to write an offer that reflects data rather than fear. If you are a home seller in 2026, the single biggest mistake I'm seeing right now is pricing as if it were 2020. The homes that are sitting across Silverdale, Poulsbo, and could be anywhere else are generally overpriced relative to where buyers are actually transacting. The homes that are selling quickly are well-priced, well-presented, well-prepared, and not carrying any deferred maintenance issues that buyers can use as leverage. Active listing across the Northwest MLS are up 28.4% year over year as of April 2026. That means you as a home seller, your competition has grown significantly. Presentation and pricing are not an option right now, they are the strategy. The one thing that separates the homes that sell from the homes that sit in 2026 is honest pricing from day one. Homes that need a price reduction after 30 or 45 days are already in trouble. Buyers are watching days on market very closely in this environment, and a sitting listing signals that something is wrong. Even when the home is perfectly fine, it may be just as overpriced. Now I want to pause before we get to the outro. Now I appreciate this video is all about where not to buy and where you should be looking in Bremerton and Kitsap County right now. But if you are considering relocating to Bremerton or Kitsap County this year, if you would like to talk through where your specific budget and your specific goals sit within this market right now, reach out anytime. Call, text, book a free call below. I will help you figure out the right neighborhood for your real life.